In Ottawa today, two independent think tanks have released a report. It's got some pretty critical conclusions when it comes to the state of the Canadian military. In particular, they say Canada is largely unprepared to support modern United Nations peacekeeping missions.
Canada needs a multinational partnership center to build bridges not only within the Canadian forces jointly, but also to the RCMP and local police forces and to the civilian population, because peacekeeping is now very multidimensional. And we need to have
the two institutes responsible for this report include the Rideau Institute and the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, saying Canada's military can and should contribute more equipment and expertise to UN operations globally. There are currently more than 125,000 UN personnel deployed. Only 29 are Canadian soldiers. And of course, Canada has a long tradition of being a major contributor to peacekeeping efforts, going back to the days of Prime Minister Lester B. Pearson. For more, let's go to Stewart Webb. He's a defense consultant, editor of DefenceReport.com. He joins us from Salt Spring Island in British Columbia. Great to have you on, Stewart. As always, thanks for making time for CTV today.
Thank you. It's always great to be on.
So you're looking at this report, which would seem to send up some pretty red flags in terms of Canada's tradition and our history. What's going on here? Walk us through it in layman's terms.
Well, in layman's terms, we were in Afghanistan. We moved more towards a counterinsurgency model. Everyone knows that the Harper government really didn't want to be involved in UN peacekeeping missions. Our numbers all went down steadily, but at the same time, when DND was supposed to be tightening its belt, it was also tightening the budgets for the Canadian Forces College, the Royal Military College, for example, cutting their courses. And then essentially in 2011, but the center did close in 2013, the Lester B. Pearson Peacekeeping Training Center, which was the original international training center for military personnel, closed in Cornwallis, Nova Scotia. Now, this new report under Professor Dorn and Joshua Libben, they really do want to see the Trudeau government go back towards Canadian peacekeeping.
So is this a bad thing, or is this a good thing, or does it depend on your point of view?
Well, Grant Stein came out with an op-ed today saying, well, it's all well and just that Canada joins UN peacekeeping missions, but, don't forget we go through multilateral peacekeeping missions under NATO and other coalitions. Canada's had a really strong tradition with the UN peacekeeping missions, ever since the Suez Canal crisis and the UN EP81. But take a look at current missions in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mali. We really do need to start contributing and pulling our weight. And oddly enough, even though the peacekeeping mission in Mali is happening, it's one of the largest and most dangerous, Mali's actually just below us when it comes to overall personnel towards peacekeeping missions. I think they're like 67th on the list.
Wow, that kind of puts it into perspective. Okay, well, let me ask you this. When you talk about peacekeeping, I mean, how much peacekeeping actually goes on nowadays in the fight, for example, against ISIS or Al-Qaeda? Is it peacekeeping or is it peacemaking?
Well, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's actually peace enforcement. Same with Al-Shabaab in Somalia. It's not really peacemaking or, peace building. And with ISIS, it is in Mali, though. The UN is moving towards more multilateral missions. That means we need to, do disarmament, teach the policing, also economic building. This is stuff that we also did in Afghanistan, but it's a totally different model. We don't really know UN peacekeeping command and control structures anymore. Intelligence structures within UN peacekeeping are virtually non-existent. So if Canada does want to join, we really need to bring our best to the table and help support this.
Do you think this undermines our image, or are our allies aware that Canada is doing other things militarily around the world?
Well, I was in Ottawa a couple of years ago. I ran into one ambassador at a function, and he said that, it's great that Canada is doing what it wants to do now, but 10 years from now, that's when your image is going to change. So we really have to work really hard, really quickly before the international community overall actually sees us, turning our backs to a tradition that, we even have a peacekeeping monument in our country because of it. And if we're in the late 60s when it comes to overall, contribution, then is that monument even really succinct anymore?
Stewart Webb joining us from Salt Spring Island in BC with his take on this report, saying we're unprepared for peacekeeping. Good to have you on, Stewart, here on CTV as always. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
After the break for us, considering the costs of